to me, I think, to me, this is the typical, and I put Michigan win. Maybe I should have put more Jim Harbaugh's led Michigan win, where it's the bully ball.
Yeah.
You have a team that you are head and shoulders better than, more talented than, and you come out and just run the football, control the clock, control the time of possession. You take a couple shots deep, nothing too crazy. I think Michigan ended up throwing between around 28, 30 pass attempts, like nothing, nothing crazy. And that's, that I don't think we really the last comment, like, I don't think we really learned anything from this today. If anything, I'd be concerned a bit. Like I said, we did see quite a few guys, limping off.
A
To
lot of
me,
field
I guess
goals.
most notably would be, Blake Corum, who,
Yeah.
limped off. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but he didn't return in the game. So, obviously going into Penn State next week, you'd like to obviously be as full strength as you can. But also, too, I didn't love Haskins getting the amount of carries that he got, especially in the fourth quarter. Like it,
It's a little bizarre.
up until the third quarter, like I started tweeting this probably midway through the third of like, is there any way we can get someone else to have the ball? Like, especially with you having a big game coming up next week. I think Haskins ended up with 27 carries. Like, that's just that. Number one, I think the biggest thing for me is his average in a game up until this point is 15 carries. So you essentially doubled his workload. Now, obviously, I understand it, right? The guy who
Yeah.
would typically take those other 15 is injured, is out. But you're telling me there's nobody else who can touch the football? Like, I just thought that would, to me, with the game in hand, wrapped up, and you've got a pretty big one next week. Like, I'd like to think you'd and maybe you don't shut them down and take them out of the game, for the entire fourth quarter and half of the third. But, can you spell him for a guy? I mean, you don't have a freshman running back, like anything. And,
Yeah.
jokingly, I had tweeted, up by 22 with 4 minutes left. Like, this is when Booby Miles got hurt and ruined the Permian
Gosh.
Panther season. And obviously I said that in jest, and but nonetheless, I didn't get that. I just felt like there could have been,
Well, I
some
thought it was just
other
he had the
avenues too.
momentum. I think it's one of those things where Haskins has the hot hand. He's running well. Just keep feeding him the ball, and I thought it was more or less that like I and also he's a type of runner where a lot of times with you're very fortunate when it's a north to south runner because their running style I think protects them for a heavier workload because it's not a lot of cutting. And not extreme cutting. It's more just go. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it eliminates the angles and opportunities to maybe get your foot caught in the turf. All this little stuff. Now you're still exposing yourself. I get it, but it's not a hill I'm gonna die on. I mean, like it is what it is. Especially with Donovan Edwards not playing today and Corn going out so early. And I would say this about Blake. He's been off a little bit lately. That even earlier in the game, he kind of dropped the pass earlier. I think he's kind of got that. I think my read on it is earlier in the year he kind of got that confidence. Like I break. I'm a game breaker. You know what I'm saying? I want to. As most players do, but I think he's really one of those guys where every time he touches the ball, he's thinking six. Like
Hmm.
I'm going six. And I think especially like in those swing passes, his eyes kind of light up a little bit and he kind of like he doesn't watch the football all the way in, secure it before he takes off. They gotta get him, rein him in a little bit on that, because um, he's vital. He will be 100% necessary. Maybe they can get out of Penn State next week without him because it sounds like he's in a boot and he probably won't be available next week, but he will be needed versus Ohio State. So they'll have to protect him in bubble wrap for a couple weeks and go forward, man. But overall, we talked about earlier, Desmond. This was a wild day. A lot of top 10 teams lost or struggled, but Michigan took care of the business. And for a team that quite frankly, played a really tough game versus the team you lost against last week in Michigan State. Indiana gave MSU all they could handle. You, in comparison to that game, dominated Indiana. So, if there's any solace in that, you take it.